All right, time is now 10:05 Central. Happy to be joined by Alabama A&M head coach Connell Maynor. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. And as always, thank you for joining us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah, it was a good win against a very much improved Mississippi Valley team. Coach Dancy's done a good job with those guys and still doing a great job. They compete. They never give up. They've been down a lot and come back and they have the lead. So that's a sign that his team never quit and they believe in him and his system. So we knew they was going to come in and fight us, and it was a good ball game for the most part, and kind of got away from them right there before the half. In the second half, we came out in the third quarter and had a 93-yard drive and a 99-yard drive, and that kind of put the game away. But his team never quit, and they kept fighting, and it was probably our best game over in all three phases all year, offensively, defense, and special teams. And so that's what we're looking for. We are trying to improve every week and continue to get better. And we got two more games to do that. So we're looking forward to it. Got a very good Texas Southern football team that we got to travel on the road and play this week. So we got to be ready. Got to put this one behind us and get ready for Coach McKinney's team.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Maynor. We'll open it up for questions for Coach. If you have any questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach Maynor. Currently taking questions. All right, first question comes from Scotty.
Hey, Coach Maynor, Scotty from Off Script. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Scotty?
I'm doing good. Question for you. Your defense has shown up these last two games. What have you seen in your defense and the adjustments that the new coordinator has brought up that your defense has been so effective against the teams?
Well, we just haven't made as many mistakes. I think we kind of simplify stuff a little bit and try to let the guys play fast. We're not making as many mistakes. Our run fits are a little bit better, and we aren't blowing coverages like we did earlier. So we're trying not to give people points and try to make them earn them, and that's what we've been able to do the last couple of weeks.
And my follow-up is D. Anderson has really came on strong for you guys late in this year. He started off strong earlier in the year. The way you guys are using him now more in between the 20s, usually he was a red zone threat. What have you seen from D. Anderson and his growth as a receiver?
Oh, man, he's an NFL prospect. The scouts are here looking at him every week. He has the size, the speed, and has soft hands, man. He catches the ball real easy. And when you get in this area, he just comes down with it, man. If you throw a ball up to him, it's not 50-50. It's probably about 80-20, man. I don't think he dropped maybe two balls thrown his way all year long. But he's a true weapon in the red zone, fades, back shoulder, slants, jump ball, you name it. If you throw it up to him, he's probably going to come down with it. I think, like I said, maybe only once or twice we threw him the ball in the end zone that he didn't catch it. So he's a great, great weapon to have, and we got to continue to use him in the red zone.
Thank you, Coach.
Currently taking questions for Coach Maynor. Coach, you talked a little bit about the production of D. Anderson. Talk a little bit about the production there at the quarterback position that you got this past week.
Oh yeah, Quill Glass he's a Quill Glass, man. He's gonna put up the numbers. He's gonna play well every week. He had I think 340 or 330 this week and had a real good passing completion percentage. Something like 25 for 32 or something. I don't know, something like that. 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Just had a great game. Leading us and leading this offense, and he's been doing it week in and week out, and he's lived up to all the expectations, and he's just doing his job one play at a time, one quarter at a time, one game at a time, and that's what you get when he does that.
Next question comes from Dr. Cavill.
Coach Maynor, team really is bouncing back after a tough stretch, I could say. But you continue to just go through the process of building the program. But I wanted to talk about this next trip. You have one of the longest trips that you play coming out here to Texas. What have you seen in terms of this young quarterback here at Texas Southern University as he seeks to lead the Tigers?
Man, he a beast. He's a beast. He's a true dual threat quarterback. Can take it to the house from anywhere on the football field. We definitely have to count for this guy. We got to try to slow him down. We're not going to be able to stop him. He leads their team in rushing, leads their team in passing, and he's tough, man. He's tough. I told the D-line they got to get off blocks and they got to play their assignment. If you got the quarterback, you got to go to the quarterback this week. You can't go down trying to make a play on the tailback because he's going to pull it. He's going to be down in our secondary, and he's a big physical guy. He don't like to slide. He's going to lower his shoulder and try to run you over. So, and he can throw the ball. So he can hurt you with his arm or his legs. And he's been doing a great job this year. And he's a great football player, man. And we got to do a super job this week to try to contain him and slow him down.
In terms of the defensive side of the ball for Texas Southern Tigers, are you going to continue to be able to do some things that you seem to be able to get done on offense? It doesn't matter who you play, just about that your offense is able to put up points.
Well, we hope we can continue to be successful on offense and stay balanced, run, pass, and continue to score points. We've been able to do it all year long. That's not to say we're going to be able to do it this game. They got a great defense too. They do it by committee. You know, I think their leading tackler has like 35 lead the team with like 35 tackles, but they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all right there, that 28, 29, 31. So they do it by committee. Just a lot of solid football players. And that D-line got a couple of good football players on there. Got a couple of those guys got 3 sacks apiece. And they play a lot of man behind it. So you got to execute. They're just not going to give you yards and play zone and say, here you go, take that curl, take that out route. They're going to play man. And they're going to bring some pressure and force you to score and move the ball on.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yes, sir.
Still taking questions for Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, thank you for your time. Look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. We do have Coach Pearson with us. We'll get started here just a tad bit early. Happy to be joined by Alabama State interim head coach Travis Pearson. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Good morning.
Coach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent road outing at Prairie View A&M.
Prairie View, yeah, we went out to Prairie View. Hard-fought game. I thought the kids adjusted well on the fly for 3 days of work, trying to adjust to what we try to get accomplished as an offensive, defensive, special team. We went out and we played lights out for 3.5 quarters. You know, we went in halftime 20-10, and we came out in the opening drive in the second half was driving, and Prairie View caused a turnover. And I think that kind of shifted the momentum of the game. You know, and kudos to Coach Dooley and his staff. They did a phenomenal job in the second half of kind of eliminating things we were doing offensively. Defensively, I thought Coach Buckhannon did a great job with the plan. You know, we had some miscues in the fourth quarter late where Prairie View and Coach Dooley and his offensive staff capitalized on us for 2 scores in the fourth quarter. But I really appreciate how the kids adapted and adjusted to the short turnaround. And I thought they played really hard, really tough, and competed as I expected them to do. And we just got to lick our wounds and get ready for the next one this week.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. Want to open it for questions for Coach Pearson. Once again, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature here in Zoom to get your question in the queue for Coach. We'll open it up for questions for Coach Pearson. Coach, obviously you look at your schedule, your upcoming opponent, Mississippi Valley State, a team that has pretty much been in every ball game they've played this year. When you've analyzed them on film, what are some of the things that have stood out up to this point?
The first thing that sticks out to me is how physical they are with the offensive and defensive lines. They create new lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. You know, Coach Dancy does a phenomenal job with his defense and his offense with the new coordinators, methodical of what they do. They got a quarterback that can run it. He can throw it. They got some speed on the outsides. And, you know, we just have our work cut out. But the biggest thing for me is how physical they are up front.
Questions for Coach Pearson? Next question comes from Scotty.
Hey, Coach Pearson, it's Scotty from Off Script. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys protected Ryan Nettles in the game? He didn't have any turnovers, 15 to 24, 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is the Ryan Nettles I was used to seeing in the spring. What were some of the game plans you guys had for Ryan Nettles to make him comfortable and to make him efficient for the game?
We wanted to establish a run game, you know, to get him comfortable and not have to let him sit back there and stare down the barrel of a gun. We got him some short throws and got him some confidence with it. And, you know, Coach Pat White is doing a great job of getting him comfortable in the game plan. So I was glad to see Ryan also, you know, understand, protect the ball. He didn't turn it over. You know, he made smart decisions. We just needed a break here and there in the second half that we didn't get. And, you know, that was kudos to the adjustment that Coach Dooley and his defensive staff made.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question comes from Ken Rashad.
Coach, how you doing, sir? Was curious to know if, since you've taken over, while I understand at this point in the season.
I think you're on mute there, Ken.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, Coach. Since you've taken over, obviously you don't necessarily just redraw everything at this point of the season, but since you've taken over, what minor adjustments or what minor tweaks have you made since you've taken over as the head of the coaching staff?
Well, I just, you know, trying to get a mentality and a philosophy with these guys. And most of them, you know, I've been here 3 years as a defensive coordinator. This is, you know, my fourth. And, you know, those kids understand who I am. You know, they understand my passion for the game. They understand my passion for them. So the only thing we tweaked was we got to change our mindset to get out of the old mindset that we were in. And let's get into a new mindset of doing things to get wins on Saturday. So that was pretty much the only tweak. You know, you kind of left behind the 8 ball. We only had really 3 days to prepare for a very, very good Prairie View team. And I thought the kids really responded. We just nicked a little things on offense. We threw some things out to get Ryan comfortable. We asked him what he likes to be comfortable with, and that's what we went with. Defensively, you know, they're used to myself, and Coach Buckhannon has been with me for over 20 years. So, you know, they understand that we both are one mind. And so that side was an easy transition, and we just wanted to get Ryan really comfortable and, you know, give him a simple game plan that we could execute.
Appreciate that, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach, you talked about the defensive side of the ball. I would like to ask you a quick question about Ershad Davis, 11 tackles, half tackle for loss. What does he bring to that defensive unit?
He is the absolute quarterback and the mind of that defense. He is a Coach Buckhannon and a Coach Pearson out there on the field. He's been in this defense for 3 years and he has mastered it. And, you know, kudos to him and a blessing for us to have him. He's a football mind. He's a football kid from a football family, and he eats and breathes football. And it's the reason he gets all the accolades, because he works all week long. He prepares like a coach. I mean, it's always something that he can come to you with, or he's always in the film room. You know, he is a tremendous talent, and he's a blessing for us to have.
Next question comes from Dr. Cavill.
Coach Pearson, your defense is played relatively strong all season long. Talk about the uniqueness of playing that complementary football. You were able to do it pretty much for the first half, and then not so much on the offensive side of the ball in the second half. Defense still played relatively strong until late, maybe in the fourth quarter. Talk about that in the composite of a game, if you would.
Yeah, we try to complement our offense defensively. We always try to keep them on the long side of the field. You know, we always want them to play on the plus side. So our game plan and our calls are varied to them. You know, our offense, you know, early on, it's no secret that we struggle a little bit. So we know as a defense, if we can create turnovers and flip the field and keep them in good situations and let Ryan manage the game, I think that would be a success for us. And you're right. We did that for 2.5 quarters. I think that turnover in the opening drive of the second half, as we were driving to score, I think that changed the whole process of the game, you know. And here again, I mean, you know, Prairie View and Coach Dooley is a really good football team. We had our work cut out. But so that's what we do. We try to complement them and try to keep them on the short side of the field with our special teams and our defense and just try to make it as comfortable for Ryan and the calling process as we can.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Next question comes from Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, with only a few games left in the season, and you guys are kind of not playing for a division championship or a postseason berth, how do you continue as an interim coach to try to move the program forward going into the next season?
Well, I'll tell those guys, hey, you signed up for this. This is what you signed up for. So did I, because I played here. This is our school. So we're going to do our very best for our school. We're going to represent this school with our very best. So it is no different. The next game is a most important game to win as the last one was. And that's how we're going to attack and that's how we're going to approach it because that's what we signed up for.
All right, thank you.
Any final questions for Coach? Final questions for Coach Pearson. Coach, thank you so much for your time. We'll look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Time is now 10:35. I do see we have Coach Sims on the call with us. We're going to try to get his, there it goes, spotlighted. All right. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for your time today. If you would, Coach, start us out with an opening statement about that big win your team got at home over Alcorn State.
Well, first of all, you know, my hat goes off to Coach McNair and his staff. They came in and they were just who we thought they would be. You know, a football team that was going to play 60 minutes, and they played a 60-minute football game. I think it was probably the most complete game that we have played all year. Offense, defense, and special teams. All three phases came together at some point in time in that game and did their part. Guys were doing what they were coached to do, not trying to do too much. And I think we made the plays that we were supposed to make on Saturday, and it gave us an opportunity to win the game.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll open it up for questions. Coach Sims, if you have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature. Get your question in the queue for Coach. Currently taking questions for Coach Sims. Coach Sims, obviously this week on your schedule, your team will travel there to Louisiana to face Grambling State. Can you talk a little about what you've seen that stood out regarding Grambling State on film?
Well, when you look at Grambling, they played a couple quarterbacks, but I think when you look at it, all those guys that they have put on the field are talented. So we have to be ready for them. I think it was maybe 4 of them that's played so far. So we have to be prepared for all of those guys and you know, the things they bring to the table. They have a great receiving core. They have some big receivers, guys that, you know, can get down the field. And I think they have a solid running game. That's something that we have to be prepared for. We have to try and make them one-dimensional so we don't have to be all over the place on Saturday. Defensively, they have an unconventional defense. Been knowing the defensive coaches there for a long time as well, and they do a great job. They have those guys standing up, moving around to try and confuse your offensive line, and you know, I think they do a great job with that. So we have our work cut out for us. And as always, they've been solid on special teams week in and week out. And again, that's how I feel about any team. If you have solid special teams, you give yourself a chance to win.
Next question comes from Dr. Cavill.
Coach Sims, congratulations. Wanted to go back a little bit to that victory.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Doc.
Well deserved. Your team continues to play hard. Obviously, it wasn't resulting in wins, but they did it in this game. How big was it to see the team be able to finish defensively, making key stops going down the stretch of that game, and then offensively able to get key first downs to literally close out the game in that manner after a tough fumble that it looked like you would have been able to go up 2 scores, but still to be able to come back and finish it out?
Well, I think it just shows what this football program is about, what this team is about. Never quit, and they're going to continue to play, every down, every series until the final second ticks off the clock. And when you look at these guys, I was just happy for this football team, for them to have an opportunity to go out and see that their hard work paid off. Just for the mindset of our guys, because they've always believed they could win. I think they have played well enough at times in games to win. Just didn't get it to bounce our way, but on Saturday it did. And just happy for all these guys to be able to have an opportunity to see their hard work pay off.
Final question I have is, obviously each game is independent of itself. Game plans, different things happen throughout a game that you got to make adjustments to, and you ask players to continue to play forward. But is there any framework to the fact that you played a long season, you get elusive win that you worked for? Does that have some emotional framework in terms of the next couple of games? Is there any truth to the validity to that? Or is that really besides?
Yeah, I don't think it does anything like that. I think if anything, it gives you some momentum into the next game. And again, like I said, I think it just solidifies that for these guys. It's something that they've been working for all year. We've been in close games all year, and now to finally have one bounce our way, I think it just, shows them that, okay, you continue to work hard, good things will happen. And that's what we're focused on now, just continuing to work hard and hopefully have some more good things happen to us this season.
Again, with this matchup play, you talked about knowing the defensive coordinator and that side of the ball. They played pretty well all year long, maybe had some challenges on offense. What are some things that you see about this matchup that you look to be able to push forward the team to continue to play well in this matchup?
Well, I think just like you want to make offense one-dimensional, I think you want to be able to show that a defense can be put in a one-dimension box also. You definitely want to be able to run the football, and that's something that we want to try and get established early. But we're going to have to do whatever we need to do to win the football game. And you see a lot of different things on film. You don't really see a lot of holes in their defense because their kids fly around. They play hard all the time. They're swarming to the football. They're doing, the things that make defenses good. They will make good defenses great.
Coach, good luck.
Thank you.
And congratulations again on a big win after slow start, not to what you wanted. Good luck this weekend. Thank you for your.
Thank you, sir.
Question comes from Scotty.
How you doing, Coach Sims? Scotty from Off Script. Big win, by the way. Question for you. You had 2 seniors really step up in this game. Shannon Patrick, the quarterback, and Kamari Everett. Can you speak on to them and how the leadership of Patrick and the leadership of Kamari Everett, the tight end, has really propelled your team for the victory today? Yesterday on Saturday.
Well, honestly, those guys have been leading the whole season, and that's the thing I spoke on earlier. Our leadership from seniors, sophomores, it doesn't matter. These guys are continuing to fight. Shannon Patrick is a true leader, a true quarterback that has a fearless approach to the game. He's going to stay in there and he takes licks. He's still delivering the football. He's still making our calls and making sure that everybody's in the right place on the field. He's doing those little things that you want a quarterback to be able to do. As far as Kamari, he's been that guy all year. You know, he was the same guy a year ago when he couldn't play on scout team, doing the same thing, you know, week in and week out. So he's leading these guys. He's leading by example, but he's also a vocal guy, and he's, you know, never going to let these guys give up, never going to let anybody hang their head. You know, he's the type of guy that you'd love to have on your team.
A follow-up question, Coach. With Kamari Everett, how teams understand that that's one of your biggest weapons on offense? How do you guys keep him available and keep moving him around to get looks and get receptions and targets?
Well, it's our offensive staff. You know, Coach James and Coach McCray and the rest of those guys, Coach Lucas, they do a great job of you know, breaking down film and trying to find mismatches for him. And you know, it also is a credit to Kamari because he is one of those guys that you can move around and put in different places. But I also think we have different weapons that people have to pay attention to, so they can't just focus just on him. They have to, you know, make sure that they have some of these other guys covered, and that allows him at the time to be able to be more productive for us.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jim Klein-Peter.
Yeah, Coach, I was curious. To beat Alcorn, you kind of have to at least limit Felix Harper. I was wondering what some of your strategies were there and how successful they were.
Pray. But, hey, man, listen, I have been watching Felix since he was in high school. He's an exceptional talent. Great young man. You know, you can't find a better human being. He may be a better person than he is a football player, but he is scary as a football player. And, you know, we knew that going in. We knew we had to keep a spy on him all night, you know, all day long, because if we didn't, you know, you can shut down the passing game all you want. He would hurt you with his legs. So we had to make sure we kept someone on him. We had to know where he was at all times, you know, and try and keep someone in his face.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Sims, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to Florida A&M and head coach Willie Simmons. I do see Coach on with us. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you for your time. If you could open us up with a statement about your team's outing versus Southern.
Yeah, it's definitely a great win to go down to Mumford Stadium. It's always tough to play there. And this Saturday was no different. But I thought the guys did a really good job of overcoming some early adversity. And defense did a great job of adjusting at halftime. Southern had some things going in the first half that gave us some problems. You know, again, thought offensively we did enough to preserve the victory, and special teams played solid as they have all season. So great team win. Obviously didn't play our best. There are definitely some things we have to clean up. You know, some opportunities there that we can't give up in the future if we want to be the team that we're capable of being. But again, thought it was a really good win and great to keep the momentum going as we travel to Pine Bluff to take on a team that, again, is very talented. There's a lot of ability, and we have to definitely be ready for their best game because we feel we get everyone's best shot every week.
Appreciate that, Coach. We're going to open it up for questions for Coach Simmons. If you do have questions, please use raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue for Coach. Our first question goes to Scotty.
Hey, Coach. This is Scotty from Allscript. With Rashawn McKay's growth game after game after game, how have you seen it? How have you seen his progression? And what is it about his leadership leading this team to these wins ever since the loss to Jackson State? Have you seen his most improvement on?
Well, he's a student. He's a guy that really studies the game. He really cares as much as anyone I've been around. Extremely hard worker and tough kid. I mean, he's taking some shots this year physically, but also mentally. You know, he's taking a lot of criticism, some just, some unjust, you know, but that's the nature of the quarterback position here at FAMU. But he's just continued to get better every week, maturing, growing. The more he plays, the better he gets. The game is slowing down for him. And we've done a really good job, I feel, offensively of giving him a game plan that he can execute. It helps to get some healthy guys back. Xavier Smith is back close to 100%. Chad Hunter David Manigault, those guys, when they're healthy, is dangerous of a receiver core as there is in college football at this level, in my opinion. And so, they're really helping them. Bishop Bonnet is running the ball extremely well, and up front, we're doing enough. So it helps to be surrounded by good players, but I'm happy to see his progress over the last 6 weeks.
And my follow-up question, Coach, is I know you spoke on some of the adjustments you made at halftime. Can you go in depth of what you guys focused on in the second half that shut out Southern in the points aspect and really stopped their running attack?
Well, defensively, we had to make some adjustments to some alignment things that we had going on in the first half that they were taking advantage of. And so, again, I took my hat to Coach Smith and Coach Sharp, our co-DCs. They went in and did a great job, and they were able to hold the leading rushing attack in the conference to 90 yards for the day, which is a phenomenal feat by those guys. And a couple of those yards came on the last 2 plays where we were in prevent defense, and I think they ripped off about 30 yards of rushing in those last 2. So it was just a great job, great team effort by that side of the ball, but that's what they've been doing all season.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Kendrick.
Yeah, Coach, the last couple outings you guys have gotten off to a kind of a slow start in the first half before coming out in the second half and rallying to win. Any explanation for why you guys, the first 2 quarters, come out a little bit slow?
Well, we were leading 20-17 at halftime this past week, and they got the ball on the short field on a punt that hit one of our players. So, again, we scored the opening drive. We scored opening drive the last few weeks. Whenever we've gotten the ball first, we've scored on those drives. So we've started fast. Our Achilles heel really this season has been kind of offensively. After halftime, we haven't been as dynamic as we have in the first half. And a lot of that's due to the score of the game and the fact that our defense is playing extremely well. But we haven't really had to put a complete offensive game together yet. And maybe that's a part of it. But we're doing what we need to do to win. So we don't really focus on one aspect of the game, one quarter versus another quarter. We just try to play sound football, execute at a high level, keep our guys locked in physically and mentally. And if we do those things, we feel like we have the firepower and then the playmaking ability to be a consistent offense.
As a quick follow-up, you said you guys have been in playoff mode for the last 5 weeks now. How do you keep the intensity going heading to the final couple of games of the season?
Just by that, when you're in playoff mindset, that's what it is. Like, you feel like you have to win or go home. And so for us, that's our mindset as a football team. Prepare ourselves every week to go out and play well. Our aspirations are contingent on us winning out, whether it's to win the SWAC championship. 2 games up in the conference. If we lose another conference game, no matter what happens with Jackson State, they're representing the East. And so we have to win out in order for that to be a reality. And then as far as FCS playoffs, we feel a loss would knock us out of contention for that as well. So we understand what's at stake, and these guys are really locked in and been focused on the goal at hand. And I think that's why they've been able to play at such a high level for the last 5 or 6 weeks.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Next question goes to Dr. Bill. I think you might be on mute there, Doc.
Sorry. Coach Simmons, how different has been the weekend matchups in terms of going to these SWAC venues? I know the personal experience. Has there been any difference that you've noticed, or is it just getting back to what you naturally do in terms of preparing your team for a matchup week after week?
Well, again, it's been refreshing to go to these venues. I spent 6 years in the SWAC prior to my arrival at FAMU. And so every place I've been to before, and I know the atmospheres, I know the environments. Many of our coaches do as well. And our players are unfamiliar with it. So we've tried to tell them ahead of time what to expect. And so it's been fun. It's tough to win in this conference on the road. I commend our team for doing so, every chance we get, even if we had to come from behind to do so. But it's a great conference, top to bottom. And I think, as evidenced by last weekend and some of the things that you've seen throughout the year, that this conference is just very balanced. And the records don't reflect the playing field that I feel we have. I mean, the gap between the top teams by record and the teams that are at the bottom by record isn't very big at all. And I think that speaks to the coaching and the level of competition that this conference has.
One quick follow-up question is in terms of this week, the Golden Lions, they got a win. And you talk Cookman, obviously, in terms of some of the teams that may not been prescribed. But what do you see in this Golden Lions team that you're preparing for?
Well, quarterback Pearson is what you see first and foremost. Dynamic guy. Obviously, last week had a field day. Over 100 yards, rushing. They go over 200 plus yards passing. So he's definitely a dual threat guy. And whenever you have a guy of that talent who touches the ball every play, it poses a lot of challenges for your defense. And so he makes them go. They go as he goes. And so, we have to definitely do a great job of trying to contain him and keep him under wraps. But if he gets loose, he's a very dangerous football player. But they play hard. Doc has those guys playing hard, and they're physical, like every team is in the SWAC. And so, it's not going to be a cupcake pushover game. We know that. We know that it's going to be a dogfight, and we're preparing ourselves mentally and physically for that.
One last quick question in terms of that physical note that you talked about there. Being in both conferences, I know as you went at one time, it was talked about the SWAC maybe being more speed oriented to some degree. But the question may be slightly different in terms of the physicality in the trenches. Have you noticed that changing this year as you went into it, or is there still what you perceive as a gap over the last couple of years?
Well, I think a lot of it speaks to the region that you're part of. Obviously, this time of year up in the Northeast, it's extremely cold. It was a little chilly in Baton Rouge on Saturday. But it was probably bone chilling cold up in Dover, Delaware. And so if you're going to be playing in 20-degree weather and 30-degree weather, you better have some big guys that can withstand that and run the football, because the elements prevent you from throwing it around as much as you like. Whereas here in this conference, we get good weather pretty much most of the year, so you can throw the ball a little bit more. You can build your team a little bit more around speed. And then the region that most of our teams are in, this is the speed region, here in the Southeast. And so I think it's just more so the way you recruit, kind of like the Big 12, where you get a lot of speed. And you look at the Big 10, those conferences, a lot of size. I think that's some of the key differences. But really good football in both conferences. I don't think one conference, is better than the other, more dominant than the other as far as the level of coaching, the level of plays. You got pros from both conferences. You got Hall of Famers from both conferences. Great teams, great, again, HBCU football is at an all-time high, in my opinion. And I think people are taking a closer look, and they're starting to see the quality that we have in our respective conferences.
Thank you, Coach Simmons. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Coach, appreciate your time. Look forward to talking next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Grambling State. Broderick Fobbs. I do see Coach Fobbs with us. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Coach, thank you, as always, for your time. If you could, please, Coach, just start us out with an opening statement about your team's last game versus UAPB.
Well, didn't play very well, but a lot of it had to do with, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Coach Gamble. They do a great job, and he's done a great job since he's been there. And they took advantage of some mistakes that we made and some holes, and made some great plays, and beat us. We came out flat early, but some of that had to do with them. And at the end of the day, we lost the football game.
Appreciate those comments. First question goes to James Hill.
Coach Fobbs, I hope you and everybody in Grambling are well. This weekend, the saga continues. You move on and you get an opportunity to play Bethune. Can you talk about moving forward and just getting ready for another football game?
Yeah, anytime, you get a chance to play a football game, it kind of, helps get a bad taste out of your mouth, but it starts with preparation. It starts with what you do during the week, making sure that you practice well and prepare the right way, but also correct a lot of the mistakes that you made previously. But Bethune-Cookman is a really good football team, good program. They've always, played well. We played them in years past and had our struggles with them. So it's going to be another, physical football game, another really good football team. coming in here, and we got to be prepared and ready to go.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Currently taking questions for Coach Fobbs with Grambling State. Next question comes from Scotty.
How you doing, Coach Fobbs? This is Scotty from All Script. Question for you is, your defense has usually been the strength of your team going into the season. What was it that UAPB did that allowed them to score 33 points on that defense? And what do you think that some of the adjustments that you can make going forward to in your game against Bethune?
Well, they hit on some plays. They took advantage of some areas and mistakes that we made. And that's not to take anything from them. They did a really good job of doing what they do. And, we just got out of position a couple of times and didn't focus on, where we were supposed to focus in certain areas of the power read game and things of that nature. And they took advantage of it. They did an exceptional job. And that's really what it boils down to. You create situations offensively, to try to make guys be disciplined. And they did a really good job of exposing our lack thereof on those certain plays.
Quick follow-up to that, Coach, is your offense came to life and put up a lot of points. Can you talk about Greg White and him as a receiver, 10 receptions, 135 yards with a touchdown, and how much he means to your team offensively?
Well, Greg has always been a really, really steady performer for us. For us, a little bit work done there as well. We've just been struggling. We've struggled. Trying to find some consistency at that position. As you know, you cannot hide that position. If you're going to be great, if you look at any team that's exceptional on any level, whether it's high school, junior high, park ball, NFL, what have you, you can't hide that quarterback. The quarterback is the key to this entire thing. And if you got really good quarterback play, you got a really good chance, to be a really good offensive team.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach, hi. You were a little muffled. We didn't really get your entire answer to that last question with respect to, I guess, the connection. But I do want to ask you, and I guess this is kind of a follow-up to what I heard on the tail end of your answer with respect to John Paul Pierce. We hadn't seen much of him during the course of the season, and he came in and obviously stepped in and gave your offense a boost. Talk a little bit about him as a player and the decision to bring him in during the course of the game.
Well, I've always something in my gut has always, had a place for, John Paul, and he's a very, very intelligent young man, highly cerebral, and also understands the offense and knows where the ball needs to go. And I think that's been, our Achilles heel, in the last couple of years, is consistent, mistakes, not going where you're supposed to go with the football, not getting us in and out of the right play. And a lot of times, you take away a little bit of athleticism for a little bit more upstairs. And John Paul, really did a good job of not only, making plays, on script, but also did a really good job off script, making plays also too. So, we're still, a work in progress, and it's frustrating when you're a work in progress for so long, because you definitely got to find somebody who's going to solidify that particular position for you. And that's really what it boils down to.
Is there any particular reason why, with respect to the number of quarterbacks that we've seen play throughout the season, why we maybe haven't seen more of him during the course of the year?
No, I just think, it was just one of those situations where we had a concussion the previous week, and we got in the game, and I didn't feel good about the direction in which we were going in the first quarter. So I just good and gave us a chance to win the football game.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Question goes to Perry Daniels.
Yes. Good morning, Coach Fobbs. I'm curious. We're talking about quarterback play, and the two Louisiana HBCUs are both kind of struggling in that area. Yet your opponent this week started a Louisiana kid at the position of quarterback, Skylar Perry. Did you recruit Skylar Perry coming out of high school?
Well, of course, we recruit everyone in this state. At the end of the day, it's always a numbers game, and you recruit a certain number of quarterbacks, and other teams recruit a certain number of quarterbacks as well, and everyone has to make sure that they get their allotment of quarterbacks at their institution. It is what it is. There's you only get so many scholarships. You get 63, and you have to make sure that you make the most of those 63 that you have to make sure that you get the right players.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Any final questions for Coach Fobbs? Coach Fobbs, thank you for your time. Look forward to speaking with you next week.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Appreciate your time as always, Coach Gamble. If you could please just open us up with a statement about your team's win over Grambling State.
It was a good win. Anytime you're able to beat Grambling, either home or away, is always good. Storied program and a team that's well coached like they have is always good. And for us it was especially good because it helps stop the bleeding that we've had here over the last couple of months. I thought our guys played well. They executed well. We had a miscue early on in our punting game, and our guys didn't get down. It was a totally different team from energy level from our team from this past week, prior to the week prior down in Texas. So nobody went in the tank. We kept the focus, and we were able to pull it out. We played well. We had a mass unit on defense and fought our way through. We saw some wideouts playing DB, to add some depth over there. Things I think our defensive staff did a great job. And we had to do a lot of things personnel-wise to help us get this win this past week. I think it was a total team win from start to finish.
Those comments, Coach. We're going to up for questions for Coach Gamble. First question is James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in your area are well. Can you just talk a little bit about going forward and you get an opportunity to play FAMU and what that will be like?
It's going to be another tough game. They're a good football team, and their two losses come from a FBS program and then another good football team in Jackson State. So they're reeling right now, and they're playing well. And they figured things out at the quarterback position, which I was hoping that by this time of year that they still hadn't figured it out yet, but they have. So good football team, and it's going to be another good football game here on Saturday.
In closing, your offense is dynamic with Skylar and the guys. Can you just share a few comments on the Golden Lions defense?
We played well. They answered the call this past week, and I've been really nitpicking with those guys over there and trying to make sure the biggest thing for us is not allowing guys to have career days against us. Somebody new, and I know they brought in another quarterback this past weekend, the other kid, and he played well as well. So, but we made a play when we had to down the stretch, and that's what's most important is making a play when you have to make a play, and then and we were able to get off the field throughout the game, which we hadn't done before, getting off the field on third down and then making them punt. So, and giving our offense opportunities to move the ball and score the football. So, really proud of what our defense did this past weekend.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Next question is Dr. Cavill.
Coach Gamble, congratulations on the win this weekend.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
No problem. Did I hear you correctly saying that you had, I don't know if it was one guy or a couple of guys that switched from wide receiver to play defensive back this past weekend?
Yeah, we did. We did. Even in the whole story behind everything, we had one starter in the secondary that started, and that was Andre Fuller. Everybody else was either backups or we had to create some backups with our wideouts. We just, I started out last Sunday and Monday going through the roster and looking to see who had a defensive background coming out of high school. And we made it happen. So, and those guys as a coach, they thought I was crazy when I started offering up dudes. Hey, what about him moving over there? What about him? And, so as we start going through the injury report, it's hey, here's what you're going to do. And let's, water down the coverages and allow them guys just to line up and play, So typically what you tend to do when you do something like that, you typically just want to line up and play man defense. I call it cat defense, meaning, hey, you got that cat, I got that cat, you got that cat. But our staff did a good job this week of keeping it simple and then allowing those guys to move around a little bit. And also, we had to move some linebackers to the defensive end and then take a linebacker and move him out to our nickel safety. So it was a good deal. It was a good job by our defensive staff. And the other part I really liked about them is that they didn't look at me sideways as I was offering some of that stuff up.
No doubt. It's incredible to hear that story. I'm glad that you expounded on it. It's amazing to see over a season what things can happen and how you try to make changes to make it work.
Yeah.
And in this case, it did. I wanted to go back to the offensive game. Skylar Perry, it's kind of been up and down. It's my understanding he may have been injured a little bit, but he had a breakout game in some ways, both in terms of the combination, if you would, from passing and being able to rush the ball. Talk a little bit about how he stuck with it and what he was able to do this game.
Skylar's played well the last 3 weeks, going back to the Arkansas game. He's played well. He played well down in Texas Southern, and then this week. So the thing about him, it's not always pretty when in the throw game with him, but he's a complete football player. That's what he is. He's a football player. I don't know if he'll ever be the 65% or higher completion percentage type of quarterback, but he always finds a way to move football. He definitely plays with some toughness. He has been hurt throughout this season and never has mentioned it one time. He just shows up and goes to work every single day. The other part about it, I think early on too, he was he had to win games, which he didn't have to for us. He was trying to, I think, put the whole program on his shoulders, which he didn't have to do. Then it helped too to finally have a Tyron Ralph back who played this week, and although he didn't fill it up in the statistical categories, but just his presence alone on the field, I believe, helped us out as well. So he was able to get some other guys to help him out as well, and that helped us out offensively.
Last question I have for you, Coach, is wide receiver Josh Wilkes. Didn't have a huge game in terms of the number of catches, but his catches seemed to be big plays and a lot of yardage, averaging 22 in that game and a touchdown. Talk about what he's been able to do throughout this season, but particularly in this game.
Josh, he's an explosive receiver. He's a home run hitter for us. And, he can go get it, and the thing about him is he has no diva in him. He'll wait his turn and he knows he's going to get his shot. And the thing, if you really watch his game, he's developed and doing things away from the football. That's what excites me more about it. He has become a more well-rounded wideout. He's blocking. He's making key blocks away from the ball. He's running sharper routes and being smooth with everything away from the ball. And he's just he waits his time. He knows his number's going to get called at some point, and then he takes advantage of it when it is. So, and that's where you can see some of those chunk yardages that he gets. But we had at times have had some things to get it to him short and let him go catch and run with it. But the quarterback's made the decision to go elsewhere with it, but he hadn't complained at all. So and that's a testament to who he is and his character. And other thing about it, he's one of the hardest working guys on the team. So he's been a delight to coach.
Thank you, Coach Gamble. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Take questions for Coach Gamble with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Any final questions for Coach? Coach, thanks for the Look forward to talking next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are a tad bit early, but we do have Coach Dancy joining us. And Coach?
How you doing?
Doing great, Coach, as always. Appreciate your time on these calls, Coach. If you would please just start us out with a statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
I thought Coach Maynor and his staff did a great job of putting a great game plan together against us. At the end of the day, you can't win football games if you're turning the ball over and giving up big plays on defense. So I thought those guys did a great job of planning against us. And at the end of the day, we just didn't execute, and we just didn't come out to play Saturday, and it showed on the scoreboard.
Appreciate it, Coach. We're going to open it up for questions. First question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you are well. Can you talk about Rankin and his development as a wideout and what you see from him and his contribution? And he was able to score.
Oh, yes, sir. Like I've always said about Ja'Cory, he's a fantastic young man. He's a leader on this team. He comes out and exemplifies that every day at practice. And like I said in the beginning of the season, I knew one day eventually he would start, all that hard work would pay off, and right now it's paying off for him. And I just want him to continue to work hard and finish this year out strong.
You didn't get the results you wanted when you looked over at Mr. Glass and A&M, but when you move forward into Alabama State, just talk about what you want to see going into this game.
Just coming out and playing the game the right way and finishing strong for these seniors. You know, this is our last home game and it's senior day for all of our seniors, and I would love to send those guys out the right way, but we got another tough task ahead. Alabama State is a good football team, has some great football players on both sides of the ball. They're about three series or a few plays away from winning a few games against some good opponents in our conference. So we know we have our hands full against those guys, and we just want to come out and play the right way and execute at a high level.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question goes to Scotty.
Hey, Coach Dancy, it's Scotty from Off Script. Quick question for you. You played both your quarterbacks, Jelani Easton and Connor Reagan, going into this game. What are your expectations and outlooks going for the Alabama State game, and who do you look to start that game, or is it an ongoing process?
Oh, man, right now it's just an ongoing process. You know, Jelani was kind of banged up this game, so we knew coming into the game that we would play two quarterbacks. And right now we're just going to go throughout the course of this week and see how both of these guys going out here and performing at practice. And we're just going to evaluate it from that point on.
Follow-up question, coaches. Your defense has usually been the strength of your team. They didn't show up in this game, but going forward to the Alabama State game, them having a great two-tandem running back, Ezra Gray, Ja'Cory Merritt, Ryan Nettles looking good, managing the game. What are you looking forward to in going into this game to test your defense, and how do you think they're going to respond for this game coming up?
I think they're going to respond well. But you know, last few years I faced, Alabama State and these two good running backs, especially Ezra Gray. A great young man, a great talented kid. We just got to find a way to slow him down in the run game. You know, our goal is, to limit each opponent under 100 yards rushing. You know, we've been able to do that so far, a few times this season. And like I said, we just got to come out and limit those guys in the run game, but also stop the big play of Nettleton in this passing game that they do have, and they do have some weapons on the outside that we're going to have to slow down in the passing game.
And sorry, last question. Caleb Johnson, I think he's one of the top running backs in the SWAC. How do you get him going against Alabama State? And that'll be my last question.
Oh man, they got a good defensive front at Alabama State, and we just got to find ways and continue to find ways to open up holes for him. He's a dynamic running back, like I've been saying all year. He only needs just a small crease, and he can make everything else happen with his capabilities. But we want to get him going, and that's our main goal on the offensive side of the ball is to get Caleb Johnson the ball as many times as we can and let him, carry the load for us, and we'll piggyback off him.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Currently taking questions for Coach Dancy. Any final questions for Coach? We do have another question from Scotty.
I'm so sorry, Coach Dancy. Big fan. I love the backup running back. I hope I'm saying his name right, Deridian. How do you plan to get him involved as well against Alabama State as well?
Well, right now, the Darian Williams, he's out. You know, he's out for the rest of the season. He suffered a knee injury against Jackson State, but you know, so that's why you didn't see him at all this weekend. But I think Jacoby came in and did an exceptional job of relieving him and being that backup running back that we needed, that we thought he could be, moving him over from defense and him coming over and having a pretty good game against Alabama A&M in that 2-drive series. You know, I thought he had a whole drive where we just gave him the ball and he was able to tote the rock and get us down on the goal line. But unfortunately, we turned the ball over, I think on the 3-yard line that series. But yeah, he's out with the knee injury for the rest of the season.
Thanks for that update, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, appreciate the time. Look forward to talking next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. I do see Coach Dooley there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Doing great, Coach. As always, we appreciate you. Coach, if you can open us up with a statement about your team's outing at versus Alabama State.
Yes, came into the game. I knew it was going to be a hard-fought contest. You know, I guess you can hear throughout all the coaches' voices that we got a good conference. So there's no games that, you know, you look at records and folks think that game's going to be decided within the first quarter. But we got a very, very competitive conference with some great players and great coaches. But we started out with Alabama State. Didn't seem to wasn't anything that we didn't do. Didn't understand what was going on, the way that we were playing. I didn't get off to the start that we normally get off to, but I think our guys rallied and came back around and understand that this is a 60-minute contest, and that's what we pride ourselves on. But I thought that Alabama State coaching staff, as well as the players, did a great job and came out and competed for 60 minutes as well. But, you know, fortunate enough, we were able to get the victory.
Appreciate that, Coach. We're going to open that for questions. First question, Dr. Cavill.
Coach Dooley, how's it going this morning?
Going well. How are you?
I'm doing well. As the game was going along, obviously you get in the halftime and you find yourself down 20-10. Played pretty solid, some errors here and there that allowed short distance score for the other team to take the lead. But when you go into halftime, was there a lot to be said in that, or was this team understanding what they needed to do in the second half?
You know, I think it's a lot of misconceptions. You go into halftime that you got to do the hooping and hollering. No, we're teachers. So we go in and we talk to our guys, let them understand what's going on, because that's the only way that you can hear. But I think they understood where we are, and I know what type of team we have. I know that, you know, no one wants to be down 20-10, but unfortunately, that's where we found ourselves in that position. So now here's another test. What type of football team are we going to be? Are we going to lay it down, or are we going to come out and go by what we pride ourselves on, fighting for 60 minutes? And I thought our guys came out the second half and did a great job.
In a lot of ways, certainly was evident and a testament to the team that you have put together for this year, as they came back defensively, shut out, offensively, got it going late in the fourth quarter and put up the needed scores to win the game. What does that say about a maturity of a team at this time of the year, to be able to see that adversity and fight back and find a way to put themselves in a position to win?
You know, that's where you see the growth, and that's what you strive for when you're trying to build a football team. And that was pleasing to see that. Don't want it because, you know, it gives like heart attacks, things of that nature right there. But I know our guys going to fight, you know, and I think we're being tested in all different ways to see how can we win football games. So that's just preparation, just moving ahead. But I do commend Coach Pearson. I thought he did a great job, you know, had to come in and fill in and did what he was supposed to do, had the young men prepared and ready to play. And but I take my hats off to our coaching staff. We were prepared and we made the adjustments that was needed. And fortunate enough, we came out with the victory. But our team have shown a lot of growth.
Last question I have for you at this point is, you turn the clock, turn the page, and say you get ready for now a divisional opponent in terms of the Braves. You have to go on the road. What are your thoughts about this matchup in terms of the physicality that you'll need to bring to the table in this matchup?
Well, you're talking about guys that understand what it means to be champion, guys that know how to work, guys that's been there and done that. You're talking about a great coaching staff. You're talking about great players. And then you talk about the atmosphere. It's going to be a hostile environment. When you get a chance to go down there and play, you know it's going to be exciting. So we know it's going to be a challenge for us, but that's what we expect. Any team that we play, there's no handouts nowhere. Everybody's going to play for 60 minutes, and we just got to get prepared and be ready for the challenge.
Thank you, Coach Dooley. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Forward to the matchup.
Next question is Terrence Harris.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Going well. How are you?
All right. Hey, and speaking of this game this weekend, can you talk a little about just the implications and how critical this game is for you guys? I mean, in terms of, you know, having a chance to be where you want to be ultimately.
Well, you know, we approach every game as critical. Only game that's important to us is the next game, and there's no question about it. We talking about we got a worthy opponent that plays exciting and great football, that understand what it takes. But we know the implications of this right here. There's no secret to it. It's a big game right here. You're talking about a Western Division opponent that when it was on the East Side represented that side 5 years. So we understand the magnitude of it and what it's going to take. You're going to have to play for 60 minutes. That's going to be a true statement.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and what does it feel like for you? I mean, you know, to have your program in this position, I mean, to be playing such a, you know, important game at the towards the end of the season.
Well, you know, just hats off to the assistant coaches and hats off to the players, how they prepare themselves to put themselves in a position such as this right here. You know, it's not over with. I still think it's a long season. We still got a lot of work ahead of us, but just the magnitude of what the way those guys approach the season and approach all-season workouts speak volumes.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question is James Hill.
Coach Dooley, I hope you and the guys are well. Can you talk about controlling your own destiny as a team and describe what it's like to lead your team? You guys have a great foundation. And again, the theme or the narrative here is you guys are looking to do something special, and it continues to chip away each week. Can you just talk about moving forward?
Well, you know, I think in a good way, I think every time you touch that field, you look to do something special. If not, then you got the wrong attitude. But some of the things that these guys have made a commitment to do, sacrifices they have made, the things that they had to go through, there's no complaints. You know, there's nothing in the world is perfect, but you still strive for perfection. But I just like where the team is right now. We got some leaders on the team, and they understand where we are and what has to take place. You know, you don't get here and just think that you have arrived. You got to continue to work to get to some place that's, if you want to call it special, you got to continue to work hard.
Felix Harper and the gentleman over at Alcorn, can you describe what you see when you look over there at that championship ball club?
When I look at a Felix Harper, a guy that can do everything that you ask him to do on the football field. He understands the game of football. I mean, he can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. He understands how to get the ball to the guys. You can tell that he understands protection. So, I mean, that's what it has been, not just to go on Felix Harper. You know, they got a team. Coach McNair have done a great job of putting a team together, and they've been consistent. It's not just no one-year wonder. They've been that same type of football team with everybody that fill those different positions. So we know it's a challenge. Those guys are prepared, and it should be a great contest.
Coach, in closing, a quick question. Why is this the best time of year for HBCU football?
Because we're playing the best football right now. We got the best conference in the nation. You got to love the Southwestern Athletic Conference with what we bring. You talk about the players, you talk about the coaches, and now you're just talking about getting some exposure. So now guys are getting a chance to see, and instead of other folks telling our story, we can tell our own story.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Ty.
Hey, Coach Dooley, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Can you speak about the importance of keeping Alcorn State's offense limited on offense in terms of controlling the ball, controlling the clock, and limiting the number of plays they run on offense to keep your defense fresh?
Well, that's a challenge that we yet got to see how it's going to work out for us. But we know that's a huge challenge for us because they can run the football as well as throw the football. When you got a team that's well balanced, then you got your work cut out for you. But we know that going into this game before the season even started, we know what type of ball club they have been and we have faced. So we look forward to the challenge and see how our defense, as well as our offense and special team, will be able to step up to this huge challenge down there in Longman, Mississippi.
Coach, I know all coaches talk about one game at a time, but how does it feel to be on the top of the heap in your division right now and being the hunted as opposed to the hunted?
It's a great question, but I still say one game at a time. I just need to go 1-0. That's all needs to take place for us. That's the only game that's important right now because it's the next game. So we understand that if we can not look at the big picture and look at the pictures that's in front of us, I think we'll be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Oftentimes, late in the season, teams and coaches sometimes employ new players into the mix and also new schemes. So how do you account for unseen scouting looks that you come upon?
Well, not giving anything away. I try to apply new schemes every week. I don't want to be predictable if I can, for lack of better words. So we try to put things in that best fit what we have, the opponent that we may be playing. So we try to get things together. It's very unique. You got a lot of guys in this conference that's very creative. And that's what you see, a lot of guys that's very creative. But at the end of the day, you're going to do what works for you.
And it works on both offense and defense, I would imagine, for you, right?
All three phases.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question is Brian Bearfield.
Hey, Coach Dooley, how's it going?
Going well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Coach, how important is it to have a coordinator like Coach Miller on your staff to be able to guide and direct that defense?
Well, Coach Miller is like a brother to me. Coach Miller and I grew up together. We played Little League football together. We played high school football together. So very well. It's good, though, to have someone that you can trust. When you talk about this business right here, it just comes down to trust. Who do you trust? And I think this from us working together, we worked together, played together, did a lot of things together. But it's not just, Coach Miller's doing a great job, but, the support that's around him. I think a lot of folks think you do have to build a football team, but you also got to build a coaching staff that's going to work hand in hand together and get the message over that you want to get over as the same vision. So working with Coach Miller has been a pleasure for me. He knows what I'm looking for. I know what he's going to provide, and just the coaching that's working up under him. It's just been a joy to be around.
And I apologize, Coach Dooley, for coming on here late. You may have answered this already, but on Saturday, you told me that the team takes its cues or should take its cues from the head coach, and you don't even, you acknowledge the winning streak, but it's one game at a time, and you like to play in the background. How are you just, keeping them humble like that while you all are on this winning streak?
Because if that's your philosophy, you got to live by it and die by it. And that's our philosophy right now. We understand that's great. When I came here and was able to be fortunate enough to be the head coach in 2018, that was the very first step we had to take. You had to take steps. And, sometimes you got to grow. And when you see that that's growing, you got to continue to work at it. But that's our motto. And the guys, they understand it and they live by it. So they understand that it's one game at a time because you only can control what you can control, and that's the next game. So they understand that, and it seemed like it's just a cliche that everybody used, but that's what we live by. That's what we're going to die by.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Dooley, we are out of your time, but I do have one quick question. Your team is ranked number 24 in the Stats FCS poll. First top 25 ranking for the Panthers since 2010. I know a poll is a poll, right? But what does it mean just to see your program starting to garner some attention nationally?
Well, I think it's great for the university, but Mr. Roberts, I'm going to address you like that. You and I go way back. I would have never known that until you just told me that. But it is great for the university. It does give some type of publicity, but, it still goes back to that same word, work. You got to work. You got to work towards certain things. And I know everyone is working, but these young men work, and the coaches, they give it all. They sacrifice a whole lot. So, it's huge. I think it's huge. I really don't have words to say because you told me something I didn't know. And I'm never lost for words, but right now I am.
Coach, we appreciate
it. You know what? The best thing I can say, to God be the glory.
Absolutely. Coach Dooley, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to talking next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go over to Southern and the Southern Jaguars. Head coach, Coach Rollins. I do see Coach on with us. Let's get his spotlight here queued up. All right, here we go. Good morning, Coach.
How you doing this morning?
Doing great, Coach. As always, thanks for the time. Coach, if you could please just open us up, kind of recap your team's last outing versus FAMU.
Very tough loss. Tough loss this past Saturday against FAMU. Came out as a tale of two halves. First half, it was a back-and-forth battle. Went in at halftime down by 3. Came back out in the second half, and the second half was a tale of missed opportunities. And had a few plays that we left out there on the field, and it came down to the fourth quarter. Last drive of the fourth quarter, errant snap by the punter, and a good goal line stand at the end, but at the end we came up short. Heartbreaking loss.
Appreciate it, Coach. We're going to open it up for questions. First question is Charles Bishop.
Good morning, Coach. How are you doing?
Doing well.
I wanted to ask a little bit about defense. You guys had a spirited effort this past week against Florida A&M, but talk about a little bit about how injuries have kind of taken a toll on this defense, especially a dynamic player such as Jordan Lewis, your defensive end.
You know, it's part of the game. You hate to see it happen, and there are a lot of reasons, but no excuses. You know, we hadn't had our full defensive line at any point this season. So at one point we had for a half without the entire starting defensive line, and another time this past season we didn't have several key players out in the back end, in the middle, and in the front. So it's just it's taken a toll, but we're going to keep fighting.
And I want to kind of follow up. There was a series of plays, especially down at the goal line, where you guys were called on consecutive plays for being offsides. Have you had an opportunity to kind of review the game film and really, I guess, have some thoughts on whether that actually took place or not?
Well, it's kind of hard to see from that camera angle, but, you know, very rarely that you get an offsides call by a cornerback that's outside the numbers twice in a row. But, you know, he can't see the ball, and, you know, because it's so close, he's kind of lined up off the receiver. But from our camera angle, it's kind of hard to see.
Okay.
Back-to-back offsides.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Next question goes to Scotty.
Hey, Coach Rollins, Scotty from Off Script. Quick question for you. With your running back room being depleted by injuries, is there any way that Ladarius Skelton can see time at quarterback or running back in the foreseeable games?
Not sure. Just, you know, looking at it really depends on our injury report. We're hopeful to get one or two of those guys back this week. So, you know, we won't rule anything out, but we're hopeful that one of those guys may be able to play this week.
And with the big game going against Jackson State, how do you regroup your defense with a spirited effort against FAMU? How do you regroup them and get them ready for the Jackson State offense?
Well, you know, first we have to make sure that they're healthy. If they're all healthy, we like ourselves. We like how well we can play when we're full speed and at full strength.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Go out of order here momentarily. We're going to get a question in from Jim Clyde Peter.
Oh. Thanks. Yes, Coach, just talk a little bit about Shadur Sanders. You faced some good quarterbacks this year. You put him up among some of those guys like Felix Harper that you've gone against?
Absolutely. You know, they're different. They're very different. I mean, anytime that you can complete more than 68% of your passes and with 23 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, that means you're a great decision maker and you can you're putting the ball in the playmaker's hands. So he's very accurate. He runs the offense extremely well, and he doesn't play like a freshman.
Mm-hmm. And what did you see looking at game film that impressed you about your defense's effort? It seems like it's been a hard struggle for your defense, but they played one of the better games as far as consistency Saturday night.
Well, it's just it's depth. You know, whenever you have an injury in a certain position, you're eating into your depth. So if you're not deep in certain spots, you're playing guys that should be only getting limited snaps, and they're playing multiple snaps. So after a while, it kind of wears on your team and it wears on your defense, on your depth. So you're only as strong as your depth, but you don't want to have to play much into your depth.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach Rollins, it's James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at the Southern and Jackson State game, two HBCU Blue Bloods, can you just talk about what you envision this weekend and how special that game will be?
Well, I see this as a homecoming, if you will. Again, you have two powerhouse programs going against each other traditionally, and two strong fan bases that's going to, that's very, very passionate about their team, and they get a chance to meet up on the field. And when being a close proximity to each other, it's just it's like bragging rights for a year for one fan base and a family reunion for others.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Yes.
Next question goes to Perry Daniels.
Good morning, Coach Rollins. There's a lot of chatter amongst the Jaguar Nation about the play calling in the second half in the Florida A&M game, moving away from the running game. Can you talk to us about that?
Like I said, once you get into your depth, all of those guys weren't actually healthy. But at the end of the day, you have to give the other team credit as well. They have a really good defense. So they took some things away that we were doing well in the first half. So it's a very well-coached conference from top to bottom. So, it's not some of the things that we did, but it's also some things that they did as well that we're working on to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
And coming up this weekend against Jackson State, what are some of the things that you are looking to attack in this in the Tiger defensive area against Jackson State?
This is a public forum, right? Ask them and tell me what they say to me. You tell the same question so we can exchange information. We just want to worry about ourselves as far as we want to play well in all three phases, as far as offense, defense, and special teams, and take care of us first, and then everything else should fall in place.
Coach, I appreciate that response, and good luck to you this weekend.
You're welcome.
Next question goes to Jacques Taylor.
Hey, Coach, can you give me your thoughts on what makes James Houston, number 41 for Jackson State, such an effective pass rusher?
I'll tell you what, he's just so strong at the point of attack. He has a great first step. He has long levers that he can extend, shock, lock, and shed and get off of a blocker. And he's tenacious. He's very tenacious. So that's what makes a great pass rusher. First, the athletic ability and just being tenacious and play hard every snap.
Thank you.
Final question goes to Mr. Thompson.
Coach, John Jock kind of stole my question, so I'll just ask you more about the JSU pass rush as a whole. What makes that unit so effective, especially with them coming in with so many sacks?
I mean, they have a great scheme to kind of highlight the defensive line. The defensive line, being at Florida, Georgia Tech, and Auburn, those guys have played in on a big stage before. So they're talented players, and they have a scheme that highlights their talent.
Appreciate you.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, appreciate the time. Look forward to talking next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we will go to Texas Southern. TSU head coach Clarence McKinney. We have Coach McKinney there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, appreciate the time. If you could open us up with a statement about your team's most recent game versus Jackson State.
Yeah, tough road loss for us. Felt like our guys played extremely hard. We were in the game for about 56 and a half minutes, and the bottom fell out. Jackson State's a really good team, but I thought our guys went out there and competed to the best of our ability and just came up short.
Appreciate it, Coach. We're going to open up for questions. First question goes to Scotty.
Hey, Coach. This is Scotty from All Script. Can you talk a little bit about Ladarius Owens? I mean, he went off in the game, 23 carries, 198 yards. Your offensive line seemed to really dominate the edges early in the first half, letting them get off tackle, and with the triple option that you guys do with the two back set. Can you talk a little bit more about him?
Yeah, Ladarius Owens is really a special talent. He does a lot of things for us in the run game as well as the pass game and return game. he has the capability of having those types of games weekends and week out. But it was hot Saturday, and we decided to feed him a lot.
Quick follow-up, Coach. With James Houston, were there any plans in the offensive scheme to chip block, double teams, send a tight end? Because it seemed like he was going one-on-one with your right tackle and left tackle pretty much all game long. Were there any plans in the scheme to
Yeah, we had some plans to kind of double him, but schematically, our running backs, didn't make the adjustment that we needed at the time, and unfortunately, he got to us a few times.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Coach McKinney, I hope you and everybody in your area are well. It's James Hill with BNC Sports. Can you just talk a little bit about this weekend's game you have and when you'll see Mr. Glass? Talk a little bit about some of the things he's been able to do.
Yeah, he's done a tremendous job since he's been there. He's leading that high-powered offense. Those guys putting up a lot of points, a lot of yards. That's going to be a tough task, a tall task for us to tackle. He and his receivers have done a tremendous job of being on the same page, and they're a quick strike offense, and we just hope to slow him down a little bit.
Andrew, can you speak to his development? And he's in the pocket and throwing it around and doing his thing. What do you see from his progression?
I think he's getting better each week. As you go, as a freshman and you play more, you get a little bit better, you learn a little bit more and gain that experience. He's starting to understand our scheme better. He's understanding the looks that the defense is giving him, and I think he's doing a tremendous job of taking advantage of those when he gets those opportunities.
Coach, in closing, the physical build-up, if you will, that teams that played in the spring and now they're playing now in the fall, how challenging and taxing is it physically for guys to continue to play down the stretch?
Well, I just think we're all in the same boat. We all played in the spring. With the exception of maybe a couple teams, but teams that we're playing now, we all played in the spring, and you're in the month of November, and everybody's beat up. So the healthiest teams usually are going to be the teams that come out on top, and we're just trying to get our guys healthy and to the game.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Goes to Kari Thompson.
Hey, Coach. Kari Thompson, Clarion Ledger. Looking at Jackson State's pass rush, they were able to sack your quarterback 4 times last week. How much does that kind of pressure affect the game?
It affects the game tremendously, but we weren't the only team that they put that kind of pressure on. They're a really good group up front. They've done it all year, and we knew what to expect. But you got to give credit to Jackson State and what they've been able to do. That they're a tremendous team.
Just as a follow-up, you guys were able to run the ball better against them, better than just about anybody. What did you guys do that was effective in terms of your run game?
Well, we take pride in being a team that has the ability to do both. And I thought we took on the challenge of finding success within the run game. I think that was a part of our game plan as far as neutralizing their pass rush and making those guys not just become pass rushers, but be run stoppers as well. And so we were able to, we feel like, expose some of that.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Next question goes to Dr. Bill.
Good morning, Coach McKinney.
Good morning, Dr. Will.
Thank you. Wanted to talk about your defense, particularly that first 3 quarters of what they were able to do successful to slow this team down in a lot of ways, and then what kind of changed in that fourth quarter that allowed them to explode, it seemed like, in that fourth quarter.
Well, our defense has gotten better each week. I've said it before, when you got a full unit and you guys are healthy and they're playing the same positions week in and week out, you can improve in all areas of the team. And we've been in that situation. I think our defense came out and played with tremendous effort, played really good assignment ball early on. I think we did some bonehead things as far as getting penalties and letting them out of certain situations early. But later in the game, our defense created a turnover and gave us an opportunity to go down and score and get ahead late in the game. So just as far as the game went, things got out of hand a little later in the game, but, those things happen.
No doubt. Quick follow-up question is you go from a freshman offense that's pretty solid to another explosive type of offense in Alabama A&M with a senior quarterback. Are there some things that you believe that you can still get done in terms of your defensive unit based on what you saw and the ability to continue to get better week to week?
Yeah, definitely. We know we're playing an explosive offense. Mr. Glass is one of the better quarterbacks in FCS football. We got our hands cut out for us, but our guys are excited about this opportunity and excited about having a chance to play one of the top offenses in the SWAC, and we're up for the challenge.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jean-Jacques Taylor.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering, technically, what do you think makes James Houston a good pass rusher?
I think he has all the physical tools that you'd like a pass rusher to have, the length, the athleticism. But I think the biggest thing that he plays with is he has a high motor. And guys that have those tools and you add on his motor, and it makes it hard for someone to maintain and contain him and control him. And he just plays hard each snap.
And then real quickly, what are your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders being a freshman quarterback and how he's played thus far?
I mean, not just being a freshman, I think he's played extremely well. He's led that offense all year. I mean, you see the numbers that he's put up. I think it's 28 touchdowns versus 3 interceptions, and he's done a tremendous job of just running that offense and leading those guys to where they've been so far.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach McKinney? Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to talking next week.
All right, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Do see Coach there joining us. Good morning, Coach.
How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. As always, we appreciate your time on these calls, Coach. If you can kind of get us jump started just with a quick recap of your team, of the team's most recent outing versus Texas Southern.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Definitely, it was good to come out with a win. I think McKinney and the staff did a great job as far as coming in with a game plan and trying, as far as neutralizing early. As far as our defense, the pass rush, things we're good at. And I think the quarterback body made some big plays. Running back made some explosive plays. He probably had more rushing yards in the first half than he had all year. So it posed a problem, and we did a good job as far as making some adjustments before the half. We went in halftime and made some more adjustments also. Offensively, Shedeur, I think he came out first drive and did some great things. We had a big run by Peyton Pickett, 51 yards for the touchdown. So that was good to see, to come out and be very, very effective on the first drive. And then we kind of took a dive as far as some missed opportunities from the quarterback position, red zone opportunities for the turnovers. And we kind of like just didn't play to our level of expectation, kind of play a little sloppy football when it comes to offensively and also defensively as far as early in the game. But luckily was able to come out second half and put some things together, put some plays together, and score points and get some stops and come out with a win.
Those comments, Coach. We're going to open it up for questions for Coach. Our first question goes to Charles Bishop.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, Chuck?
I wanted to ask this question. Obviously, the majority of this roster is not particularly steeped in the rivalry or the tradition of this Jackson State Southern game, but what has been the emphasis thus far with regards to the staff talking to the players about this Jackson State Southern game and the hostile environment that will be down there at Southern?
We started a conversation this week as far as we try to focus on the one opponents each week. we'll start those dialogues with our guys. Went out yesterday on Sunday and let the guys run around a little and made a quick intro as far as some plays on the practice field. We'll be off today, and then we'll go in tomorrow as far as our scouting report, as far as giving those guys information and start pouring into them the culture, the tradition, the history behind the both schools. For me personally, I heard an earful since I've been here, or Southern and Alcorn, those type games. So I know I'm really anticipating it. But some of the players that was here that's from the area, like Warren Newman, CJ Holmes, they kind of like pretty much give information how it's going to be as far as a hostile environment. Like you said, it's a tough environment to go in and attempt to get wins. So we got to go in together, stick together, and be very disciplined, the word we always keep talking about, and just go play our ball game. But we expect a very large crowd. We understand sometimes, mostly because of the crowd, the game is played here in Jackson, but we're going to Baton Rouge, and we know we got to go on our best effort. But we look forward to it. The thing about us, this game is, when you go back to the spring, Southern pretty much put a whooping on us, and we kind of remember that game, and we kind of like with Coach Prime, we built this team for that type moment. So a lot of guys wasn't here in the spring, but some was, and we kind of remember that game in the back of our mind. So we kind of look forward to the competition level. We look forward to the expectation with how the game is going to go, and we got to make sure we hold up to what we look forward to. And that's the nature of this game. We know Southern's a very, very tough opponent. We know they're very big up front. We know the type offense and defense that they play as far as scheme, and we want to make sure that we're prepared throughout the week for that.
Sure thing, Coach. And quick follow-up, you being the running backs position, Coach, how gratifying was it to see over 200 yards on the ground from that position group?
It was good to see. Something we've been talking about for a long time that we had to get established. I think O-line played very well, when it comes to run game and protecting the quarterback. We did a great job. But it's good to see that you got more than one guy with Pickett and now J.D. Martin. You also got Santee Marshall. Pickett is the guy that carries the load. And you got Santee and JD, those change-up guys that anytime can make the long runs. But it was very good to see, especially this time of year, as far as being able to get that done in November. Like we always talk about championship month, going into, trying to solidify the SWAC championship and be ready for the SWAC championship game. You have to be able to run the football, and you have to be able to stop the football.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. To James Hill.
Coach, it's James Hill with BNC Sports. You just alluded to it. The journey is important when you look at being on your way to a destination, and that's championship football. Can you just talk about that journey, so to speak?
Thanks, James. Pretty much when you go back to the spring, the first time Coach Prime arrived here at Jackson State, his goal is to win the championship. And it goes that far back, and the things we put in place when it comes to recruiting, the coaches that's here, our core values, everything that we talked about is to be ready for this moment. It was a long journey, with changing the players, getting new players in, going through the transfer portal, trying to find the right mix of guys, coaches continue to work together and get to know each other. Folks don't realize we just pretty much over a year. It feels like 2 or 3 years, but during this time, we was able to get some things in place to put us in this position. And so now, like you said, we just want to go ahead and finish the process. We want to make sure that we stay humble. We want to make sure that we don't look ahead and take it one game at a time. But it's important that we complete this mission, because Coach Prime came in and saw some things, that a lot of folks didn't think was possible. He saw the invisible, so we can go out and do the impossible. And we want to make sure we back him up. A lot of things we talked about, that we feel like we got some great players, we've got great coaches. And now, with that being said, you have to win.
Coach Harrell, with all due respect, can you give us an update on Coach Prime? We want to know how he's doing, and we want to, get an update.
I understand, and I appreciate you asking. Coach Prime is doing well. He's still in great spirit. Talked to him last night. He's still planning on being here, hopefully this game, and at least by next week. But he's taking his time. I think he likes how things are going, how things are flowing. He still has the confidence and the belief that we can do the things that he believes in doing and carrying out those assignments. So this is just a blessing that he trusts us as he goes through this process. But I appreciate you asking. But he's doing well. He's doing well. Trust me, he's missing not being here physically, but he's going through a lot as far as just not being here, and definitely want to be here with the guys on game day and as we continue this championship run.
Thank you, sir. Please pass along my regards and have a great week versus Southern.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Question goes to Jim Klein.
Coach, I just want to be clear. There's a possibility he'll be available for the game Saturday and be there in Baton Rouge.
Well, Coach Prime just never know. We have a meeting today, and I'm gonna speak to him later on. But that's still on how things going on. With the doctor's board and Coach Prime. We just don't have all the information. I wish I could give you guys. I know you guys have a job to do. I know you want to be prepared if things like that happen. But I'll be honest, we just don't get all the information. We want to make sure Coach Prime respect his wishes and his time, his family. I know they're going through a lot as well. So we try to make sure that we just do our part here and let Coach Prime take his time on what he's trying to get done. Right now, Coach Prime is really taking care of Coach Prime, and we just want to keep showing respect to him and his family.
Okay, and the challenge with Southern's offense, would you talk a little bit about they've got a little bit of a balanced offense there. What are the big challenges for the Jackson State defense?
I'll make them one-dimensional. For the most part, like I said, Bubba McNair does a great job. He's a threat. If he pulls it down, he's a big, strong quarterback. When you watch him in the game, he runs through arm tackles. So you got to make sure you wrap up. Sometimes you think you have him, and he'll fight and fall forward for another 4 or 5 yards. He's good as far as extending plays. But I think their biggest asset is up front. Their offensive line do a very good job as far as the physicality. They want to get downhill, the inside zone, the double teams, and that's what they hang their hats on. So we understand that. So it's going to be a physical matchup on both sides. So we got to be able to stop the run, and we have to make sure we're able to run the football and get great perimeter play. But like you said, they're very balanced on offense, and that's going to be the key this week for our defense. I think it's probably the best O-line we face this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jean-Jacques Taylor.
Hey, Gary, what do you think about, or actually a better question is, where have you seen the most improvement in Shadur's development this season?
Mr. Taylor, I would say probably he always been a leader for the most part. He pretty much lead by his play. But right now, I probably think is extending of the play. We really didn't think he would be able to get outside the pocket and make plays. And he's able to do those things. If you watch the previous game, Texas Southern did a great job as far as initially stopping the play. And Shadur had to do things to get outside the pocket. The receivers had to do a good job as far as staying on the move. And that's when we came in with our bigger plays as far as moving the chains, getting the first downs. So I would think he definitely improved in that area. And he's steady getting better as far as understanding what we're trying to get done scheme-wise. And that's when you see him changing the plays when it comes to protection. Sometimes we have that passing play, he checks it to a running play. So I think he's an extension of TC Taylor, the offensive coordinator. They do a good job as far as communication throughout the week. And everything that we see on film that we like to take advantage of, I think being a student of the game is where he made his most improvement. He's a freshman. He's a freshman. We understand where he's ranked number 8 when it comes to touchdowns, single season, things of that nature. But he's not an individual guy, he's a team player for the most part. And a lot of things that he do, it comes through the scheme. He's not forcing it. He's good as far as taking what the defense is giving him. Now, he missed some things early this past game, but that don't typically, it don't really happen a lot for Shadur. Usually he's going to get the ball out quick and take what they give you. And when you look at the first drive that we had, he was very successful and made some great throws. But he's going through a lot too, everything that's going on around him. You got to understand this guy since high school, his dad been there with him every game. So a lot of things in his mind he has to flush out. And sometimes it's a slow start. But once he gets going and gets in rhythm, then the real Shadur comes out.
And a real quick follow-up, not you're a head coach and you really see it. What's been your thoughts on what makes James Houston such an effective pass rusher?
Oh man, he's a problem. I think his motor, man, his will, his want-to. He goes hard. And sometimes I just get caught up just watching this guy play when he's on defense as a coach on the sideline. Just watch how he goes and attacks his opponent, the tackles. He's a problem. I think the way he uses his hands, his techniques, he's very fundamentally sound. And I think, like I said, it's just his motor. The guy don't stop. He don't quit. Even when he's fatigued, he's tired, he's still going hard. He's always asking for more. I think his biggest problem drives the defense coach is crazy. He wants to play linebacker also just to show what else he can do. But he's that type of guy. He's an all-around athlete that can play at the linebacker level. But we feel like he's more important to us as far as getting after the quarterback and making plays for us.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm going to try to get in two more quick questions, Coach. We do appreciate your patience. Next question is Corey Thompson.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned Houston wanting to show a little more at the linebacker spot. Does he have the athleticism to do that? Have you kind of seen that, he kind of has the speed and stuff to move around a little bit?
Yes, Carl. I think he a couple of times last week, scout team, of course, how practice go when the offense is going, the scout team is giving a look. Sometimes he'll sneak out there at the linebacker position, and you can see him. He made plays as far as his drops, as far as flipping his hips, getting in the right areas, coming up with interceptions. But I think he definitely have the athleticism to get it done. He's somewhat a tweener, and I know on the next level, that's something they will have to figure out. The 3-4 scheme, I think he'll be great as far as playing the outside backer. But he's a guy that's shown that he can rush the quarterback. But now he just want to be able to show that he can play the linebacker level, which I definitely think he can as far as understanding his responsibility and his reads when it comes to that position.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Last question, Milton Jackson.
Hey, Coach. So the last couple of weeks, you guys have kind of started off slow, but obviously been able to, to pull out the wins in the latter parts of the second half. If you got a chance to look at that Southern and FAMU game, Southern was actually leading in that game for a majority part of the time. How important will it be to get a good start against a Southern team coming off of a loss?
Well, Mr. Jackson, that's real important. Anytime you go into anyone's home, you want to try to go in and strike first to take the air out of the stadium. Southern is not a team. There's a lot of teams in the SWAC conference that you don't want to give a lot of confidence to. You're talking about the Mississippi Valleys. You're talking about the Southerns. When you're talking about those type of teams, going into those type of environments, you want to make sure that you start fast. It's very risky how we've been doing things. We've been very blessed to come out with the win. And when you watch the FAMU game, the goal line stoppage, things of that nature, shown they have the toughness, they have the will. And in that environment, they're going to have the fan support. We understand how the fans get involved. And we got to make sure we start fast and just stay poised and just stay on course. But we cannot go in and fall behind with the penalties. We cannot go in, we're going to talk about that today as far as just the operational things, making sure we got 11 guys on the field. We can't have all the stupid things like we had the past game. We got to get all those things fixed when it comes to the penalties and things of that nature to give us a better opportunity to have success.
And one small follow-up question. When you look at Southern's defense, what stands out about them the most, and what are your thoughts on Jordan Lewis?
Jordan is the real deal, and you got to make sure you account for him, definitely in your passing game. And we understand what type of guy that we're playing against, and some of the other guys that's in the league. Texan had two great ends as well, but Jordan, he's special. He's special. He's a James Houston with a higher motor. He's very athletic, so we got to make sure we know where he is at all times. Run game, pass game, as far as our protection. But they do a good job as far as understand where they want to fit. And you watch them on film, they're very big up front as far as in the middle. So we got to try to be able to establish the run getting downhill. And we got to see if they're able to run east and west on the perimeter just to add a little fatigue factor. So we'll come up with a great game plan based on their personnel. But back to your question as far as Jordan, he's definitely a dynamic player for the SWAC conference. And we understand that we got to account for him.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you, buddy.
Coach Harrell, thank you for your time and your patience. Good luck this week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. To Alcorn State head coach Fred McNair. I do see Coach there with us. We'll get him queued up on this. Good morning, Coach.
Actually, I apologize again, man. Sorry.
No worries. Actually, good afternoon. And, Coach, we just appreciate you jumping on with us. We'll wrap up the call with you. Coach, if you could start us out just with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing at Bethune-Cookman.
Tell you what, we had a great trip to Daytona on Friday. I really think we're going to get a chance to play the game. It rained so hard Friday. The wind was so bad, but unfortunately, Mother Nature stood by and hung with us to see a great football game. Coach Simmons had those guys ready to play. Had some big explosive plays on offense. Offensive-wise, we had some great plays. We lack a few plays that we missed, and credit their defense for playing the way they did. We were able to capitalize on some of the plays that we had opportunity to make. They made some big plays, and I think it came down to the team who made the biggest plays. I think they were successful in the things they did to make all the big plays that they could offensively. Had a kick return back for a touchdown. We gave up. Come out to halftime, we come out, gave up another big play. So it was all about the big plays they made and the one that we didn't make. So credit to those guys and the coaching staff down there at Bethune-Cookman for a great job they've done against us, offensively and defensively, to make plays and special team-wise. So we just fell short to a great football team. Like I told the team all week, it wasn't an 0-8 team that we was playing. We were playing a great football team, and we had to take that in stride, and we didn't take advantage of it. So we fell short to a great football team.
Appreciate it, Coach. We're going to open it up for questions. First question, James Hill.
Hey, Coach McNair, I hope you and everybody at Alcorn are well. Can you talk a little bit about the Prairie View game coming up this weekend? And it should be a really good matchup on the reservation.
It will be, and I'm looking forward to it. Meeting with the guys this morning and practice this morning, so I got an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Prairie View this morning, kind of implement the game plan of what we're going to try to do to stop a real good program. Coach Dooley got those guys playing really high and really fast. Coach Miller got the defense playing tough. Two guys up front, the two D tackles, and Dumas and James. I mean, they create habits. Offensively, pass does a real good job of passing the ball. So, to some great receivers in Mullen and Howard. Running the ball, Brooks and Stewart does a real good job of running the ball inside. So, we got a work cut out for us against a real good coach football team in Dooley and what they're doing up there in Prairie View. Good thing we're playing at home. I tell you what, it's been a long road trip for us, and we're good to be back home on the reservation to play a real good, important football game.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Good afternoon, Coach McNair.
All right.
Coach, I know I'm a tough interview. You ain't got to run from it. I hope all going all in seriousness. Tough road trip down there. I know you broke down schematically about the game. Anything particular that you saw in it that gave you some concerns in terms of where you want to see improvement with your team?
No, it's just a matter of just getting guys back, I think, to the playing surface. We don't make excuses what we got. We got to put the best level out there we can to play a football game, and that's what we did. We can go down and play hard and play fast. The kids play with a lot of effort. That's one thing that we're going to do. We're going to play with a lot of effort, give excitement, and play fast. But what we played with, we expect to win with. So we were unable to do that this week. And like I said, I credit Coach Sims and his staff for a well-coached football program that they got down there in Bethune, and we just fell short.
Absolutely. With that, you talked about, one, being able to come back home, play this game, and the quality of the opponents you're playing in Prairie View A&M University. Have you had a chance to watch even more so on film things that are clicking for Prairie View that you want to see your team stop?
Well, you look at all phases of it, and offensively, they does a lot of stuff formation wise, and things that they do to get the ball down the field. I think the quarterback is very tough, very physical. The running backs are very dynamic. They can do a lot of things in the running game, and the receivers catch the ball well. Got a lot of stuff going on for them. Defensive wise, I think Coach Miller and I played together in the Arena Football League, so I know him very well. But the things they're doing on defense, they do it fast, do it with a high motor. And it always becomes a problem when you're doing a lot of things very fast at a very high intensity level. So the biggest thing for us is we just got to be able to match the intensity level that they have with ours. So we just got to come off and play a good football game here on the reservation at home and in front of a good crowd.
Talking about that home crowd, and outside of the talent acquisition that you've been able to accumulate during your head coaching stint and as an assistant coach, what in your mind makes it so challenging for teams to come in and play?
The biggest thing is when you're driving in on that 5-mile stretch there, you don't see anything and things of that nature. So it's kind of intimidating of where you're going. But, Prairie done been here before. They done played in front of a home crowd here on the reservation, man, and they know how intense it is and how the crowd is. So, we expect a big crowd here on Saturday. I'm quite sure they're going to bring some people down too. That's going to make it more even better. The bigger the crowd, so it's going to be a very intense crowd. Going to be a hostile environment for a visiting team. So I'm quite sure that they've been amongst crowds like that before. They know what it takes to win ball games. So, like I said, we just got to come in and play a very good football game against a real good football program coming in with Coach Dooley and the staff.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, over the last 6 or 7 years, you guys have established yourself as a team to beat in the SWAC. Saturday's game is definitely a must-win game for you guys. You have to win it in order to stay in the hunt for the Western Division. And having that pedigree that you guys established over the years, how much would that help going into a big game like this?
The biggest thing is, and these coaching staff, and they've been there before. It's not nothing new to them, and how we coach against a crowd, or how we coach against a team, regarding of the magnitude of it. I think each and every player, each and every coach know here that what's at stake, to keep going and keep yourself in the hunt to win a championship. So the biggest thing is for us to humble these guys down and make sure they understand what's that task for us. And the biggest thing is that this football team is coming in Prairie, and Coach Dooley and his staff is one thing that's going to be kind of exciting for us to play against a real good football team. Just to kind of get these guys humble and get them to understand what's at stake and the magnitude of this football game. So they'll be excited. The whole stadium will be excited come Saturday just to be here, and it'll be an exciting game for us.
Thanks.
Last question goes to Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach McNair, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Ty.
Hey, Coach, maybe you haven't, done the things you wanted to this season as far as your record goes, but looking at the last 2 games, also knowing that you take each game one game at a time, but you have your team has a chance to do something very special with the 2 division leaders on your schedule. Can you talk about the magnitude of these 2 games coming up?
Well, it's all about the team you play next, and I think Prairie, they done some outstanding things throughout this whole conference. Is win a lot of ball games, and that's a credit to the coaching staff and Coach Dooley and what they've been bringing to the table each weekend. So, the streak they have going on is I know it's exciting to them because just watching them and the way they've been winning ball games, it's very, it's tough to watch, but you have to see it and you have to take advantage of some of the things that they're doing and they're not doing. So, our next opponent is going to be our next opponent. So we got Prairie Panthers coming in. So we got problems on our hand right now this week. So we just got to make sure that we doing the things right in preparation of this week of practice to get ready for a real good football program coming in. And these guys they're going to be relentless. So we just got to be able to stand up for the battle and what we put on the field on Saturday. It's got to be a winning product. So we just got to go out and compete in all phases of the game, no mistakes, and play a performance ball game this week.
In the games you lost, Coach, with the most important aspect of not winning those games be not completely finishing in the end?
Well, you take away the turnovers and things of that nature. You have to credit your opponents for doing that. getting the takeaways. You know, we don't fumble the ball. It's caused by something. So, you know, you credit the opponents for creating turnovers and taking the ball away from us and things of that nature. You get out in the red zone, we have to score. So that's one thing that we worked on all week. We're going to work on it this week. And so we're going to continue to work on it until we get it fixed right. We just got to be able to finish the ball games at times. And, you know, on the defense side of the ball, we just have to create takeaways at the same time. So, you know, but other than that, you know, we're gonna play our brand of football and put the best brand of football on the field come Saturday against a real good football program. As I said, you know, these guys gonna come in ready to play. They know it's at stake too. So I know Coach Dooley gonna have those guys wrapped up and ready to play. So we're excited about the challenge. So we're at home, and that's the best thing that we have going on right now, that we're at home and don't have to make a road trip.
And my final question, Coach, is how do you, and in particular, Felix Harper, how does he account for unscouted looks he may see on defense when it comes to games?
Well, the biggest thing is now he's a dual threat guy, and, you know, run when we have to. We run him when we want to run him. But, you know, what's at stake now, you know, who knows what we're going to do with him this week. So we just got to make sure that we throw all the hats in and make sure that we're doing the right thing to try to win this ball game. That's offense, defense, special teams. So we got to do some special things, and that's what it's going to take to win this ball game. That's what we're going to do. So in terms of that, you know, we just got to play solid, got to play mistake-free, penalty-free, and everything. So we got to play a brand of ball. That's all we have to do. I think if we do that, when the clock hits 0, we'll be happy with what we got.
Okay, Coach, thank you, and good luck this weekend.
Coach McNair, we appreciate you, sir. Look forward to talking next week.
I appreciate you guys, man.
Thank you.